This lamp was supposed to have 40 wooden slats. I cut 10 per sheet, 4 sheets, easy math, right? Somehow I ended up with 38. And at that point, I had two choices: cut another whole sheet of wood for 2 little pieces, or see whether this machine could help me recover without wasting more material. That little problem is where this machine started to make sense to me. So I started this channel as a laser guy. Wood, slate, painted canvases, small projects that somehow turn into bigger projects, and a lot of testing until I get the results I want. Then I bought my first 3D printer with my own money, right? Thank you very much. My Bambu Lab P2S right here behind me. I wanted to find out whether 3D printing actually made sense in my shop or whether it was just going to become another expensive machine taking up space. Turns out I really liked it. It gave me a way to make things my laser could not make. Parts, organizers, custom shapes, little fixes for problems I didn't even know I had yet. Then Bambu Lab reached out and asked if I wanted to test the H2D right here. And I said yes, because it's not just a 3D printer. It is a serious 3D printer with a 40-watt laser module you can swap in and out as needed. So the question for me was not what are all the specs. The real question was, can one machine earn my trust as both serious 3D printer and a serious laser? Or does combining both mean accepting too many compromises? And this is not me trying to tell you that one machine replaces everything. This is my honest first experience using the H2D as a laser guy, trying to find out whether combining plastic, plywood, slate, and other materials actually makes better projects. The first thing I learned about the H2D is that it doesn't arrive like a little desktop printer. It arrived on a pallet. I started unboxing it in the living room because there was no casual way to carry this thing into my office by myself. The packaging was excellent, everything was protected, labeled, and organized. But the box is heavy. Very heavy. My wife helped me move it, and I will say this right now. Before you think about print quality, laser power, or projects, decide exactly where this machine is going to live. Because once you move it into place, you're not going to want to move it again. I put it next to my P2S, and that is when the size difference really hit me. The unboxing itself is well thought out. The boxes tell you what to do. The packaging tells you where things are. There are labels everywhere. My advice is very simple. Read the labels. Read the instructions. Don't rush through it just because you're excited to turn it on. The AMS2 Pro is secured inside the main chamber, and there are shipping brackets and internal restraints that need to come out. But there is enough happening that you want to take your time and make sure nothing is left inside. One setup detail that is worth paying attention to is the foam block under the bed during the initial setup. Don't get ahead of the instructions and remove things early. That support is there for a reason while the machine goes through its first setup. The H2D is big, heavy, and pretty solid. Then you put the AMS2 Pro on top, and the whole setup becomes even more serious. This is one of those machines where you look at it and think, okay, this is not a toy. And don't forget to leave some room behind it too. You need access back there for setup, extraction, cleanup, and troubleshooting. I had to install the extractor. I had to work the hoses. I had questions about the AMS. I needed to get behind the machine more than once. This is not a printer that I would just push into a corner and forget about it. At the front, you have the green protective acrylic doors. These doors are green for the laser side of the H2D, and they immediately make this feel different from the P2S. They do their job. I will come back to that later because it matters even more once this becomes a laser. The touchscreen on the front of the machine felt familiar coming from the P2S. It is clear, easy to read, and it becomes your main point of control when you're standing at the machine. There's also a USB port right at the front, so I bought the smallest USB drive I could find. I didn't want a long USB stick hanging out there where it could get bumped. On top, you have the AMS2 Pro. The machine also has an external spool holder. The AMS makes the whole setup look even bigger, but it is what lets you move into a multi-material and multicolor printing without turning your desk into a spaghetti factory. Inside, the first thing you notice is the space. The H2D is larger than the P2S on the outside, but it's also very large where it matters. With this kind of build volume, you start to think a bit bigger. Suddenly, you're not just printing small bits and pieces. You got space for larger organizers, more practical parts, and projects that actually come in handy around the shop. So I started with the H2D as a 3D printer first, right? That was important to me. Before I trusted it as a laser, I needed to know whether I could rely on it as a solid 3D printer. Because combining both functions only makes sense if each side performs well on its own. Of course, I printed a benchy, a poop chute, wall storage, and a few other functional pieces. These were parts that were going to become the structure behind other projects. Then came the part I was really waiting for, though, turning it into a laser. Turning the machine into a laser, there's a lot happening. You remove the print setup, install the laser module, connect the cable, connect the air assist hose, set up extraction. The laser setup also adds the emergency stop button. The machine will not run the laser without the safety system properly installed. Now, one important setup step is that there is a screw at the back that needs to be removed so the air assist can work properly. It is marked, it is bright red, and of course, your materials, they do need a place to rest on. The base is magnetic, so the tray locks in firmly. You have serrated slats, and you can adjust the spacing depending on what you're working with. The green acrylic doors are there for safety, but they're very dark. In a bright office or a sunny day, it can be very hard to see directly through them. For filming, I tried working around that. For actual use, the built-in camera becomes the practical answer 100%. The camera on the H2D is very clear on the screen during laser jobs. And of course, you can also see it through Bambu Suite and the Bambu Handy mobile app. Of course, the camera is there to help you line up material, check progress, avoid a bad section of wood, and make the most of an offcut. You will see exactly why that mattered later. For 3D printing, you use Bambu Studio. For laser work, you use Bambu Suite. You need both if you plan to use both sides of the H2D. For my first real laser tests, I used the materials I actually work with, not only the sample materials in the box. I tested 3mm Baltic birch, basswood, painted canvases, and slate. The Baltic birch was the same kind of plywood I keep in my garage and that I use all the time. Not fancy showroom plywood, real shop plywood. I ran material tests, dialed in the results I wanted, and then I cut and engraved a test card that I have used with other lasers. The engraving came out clear, the cuts were good, there was a little staining around the hanging hole, but honestly, nothing unusual for plywood cutting. Then I tested basswood using the default material settings as a starting point. The text was clear, the logo came out well, the cutting was solid, and that is exactly what I want from a 40-watt laser. Not magic, just solid results once I've tested it. The light at the base of the platform there changes as the job moves along. That is a very small detail, but when you're walking through the shop, you can get a quick sense of where the job is without stopping to check a timer. Then I did something that made me a little nervous. Painted canvases. I have done this many times before, so I know how much work goes into prepping them. You know, my standard. Then you let it dry overnight. The next day, you choose the image, crop it down, focus on the details that matter most, right? And run your tests. And the whole time, there's a little voice in the back of my head reminding me how easy it is to ruin all that work with one wrong setting. For the picture, I used the same owl image I've used before because I wanted a comparison that I could actually understand. The machine, of course, didn't recognize the painted canvas as a normal material, which totally makes sense. After doing all that spray painting, it's not normal material anymore. So I used one of them user-defined setups just to get moving and sent the job. And again, I don't know why I was so nervous. But when I finally finished engraving and then I saw the results, I was relieved and pleased. Like I said, I've done this many times. But no matter the laser, no matter the situation, I still get very nervous, I have to admit. The detail was there, 100%. The image looked clean. I didn't need to do any more tweaking. Then I moved to Slate. Again, one of my favorite materials. You guys have seen the videos before, and some of you might recognize our test subject today. I used my favorite poppy image, and some text to go with. This slate piece was larger than a typical coaster and got me thinking about memorial stones because I know many of you have asked about those. I tested both sides of the slate. Yes, a little crazy, but I tried not to waste material. And then I committed to the final engraving. The image came out very nice, the text was very clear, it actually felt good in the hands. I don't want something to just look good, from 6 feet away. I want something I would actually be proud to give someone. The real reason this machine became interesting to me was not the individual laser tests. It was the projects where the printer and laser worked together. And this is where I found out whether the H2D could help when I made mistakes. Now, here is the first project. This is a storage box model I found on Maker World. The drawers and the enclosure were printed. The front faces were cut from 3mm Baltic birch. The printer made the structure. The laser gave it warmth and personality. Now, the drawer prints were not perfect, but that was mostly me. I tried cleaning the front a little too aggressively. I also pressed a little too hard there and broke part of the drawer front. That was not the printer's fault. That was just me being a little too enthusiastic. Instead of printing the whole drawer again, I repaired it from the inside with this little Fantic soldering iron. And a quick disclosure, Fantic sent me the soldering iron in their small car vacuum just to test. They didn't send it for this H2D video. I repaired the broken piece from the inside, kept the front clean, and then the plywood face cover that repaired anyway. That is one thing I'm learning about 3D printing. You don't always have to throw a part away when something goes wrong. The little Fantic vacuum also ended up being a lifesaver. I tried other handheld vacuums that we have, but they were way too bulky to get inside the machine comfortably. The small one was easy to use for the filament pieces after printing, laser cut pieces, plywood dust, slate dust, and general cleanup inside the machine. When one enclosed machine is printing plastic and cutting wood, you have two kinds of mess. You will need to keep cleaning. Then I made this clock. The printed black body looked great on its own. This also came from a file I downloaded from Maker World. The wood made it look very good, nice and warm. The printed body gave it a nice structure. And then I tried a translucent green printed accent plate, and that looked modern in a completely different way. And that is where I started getting excited because I was no longer thinking, what else can the laser do? Or what can the printer do? I was thinking, which material looks best for this part? This lamp was probably my favorite project. The design also came from Maker World, and it was based around an IKEA Strala lamp. I added my own touch by mixing translucent green again with plywood. The base was printed in black PLA. The inside shade was translucent green, right? And the outside was 3mm basswood ply. And then I made the mistake that you saw at the beginning. I didn't realize it until I was installing number 38 on it. I still don't know where the other two went. They're probably next to my missing socks. I'm sure of it. But I had a couple of clean sections left on two of the sheets I had already cut. So instead of cutting another whole sheet, I put the offcuts into the H2D. I used the camera to place the two missing cuts exactly where I had the clean material left, and it cut them exactly where I needed. So this is one of those small moments that doesn't sound exciting until you're trying to finish a project without wasting another sheet of wood. And that is where the camera really earned its place. Then I realized I had forgotten some printed feet and cable management parts, of course. So I switched back to printer mode, made the parts I needed, switched back to laser mode, and finished the lamp. That is the H2D at its best. Not because it made me smarter. It definitely didn't do that. But because it gave me a way to recover when I made mistakes. Now, I need to be very honest with my laser audience here. The H2D is a huge machine. But as a laser, it does not give you a huge flat work area though. With the 40-watt laser module, the laser area is 310 by 250 millimeters. The H2D also has no pass-through. So if a board doesn't fit inside, you either redesign the project, rotate it, split it into pieces, or use another machine. To be fair, Pass-through is not something my other lasers have either. So this is not like a new limitation for me personally. But it matters if you're coming from a setup that actually supports it. The enclosure gives you safety and a lot of vertical space, but you pay for that with a smaller flat work area and no pass-through. That is what I call the enclosure tax. One thing I would like to see improved is having the camera view on the control screen during the 3D printing too. It comes alive for laser work, but for printing, you're mostly checking through the software or the app. It's not a deal breaker, it's just something I noticed after using it. Bambu Suite is another area where I have mixed feelings. It is intuitive once you learn where things are, just like most things. But compared to Lightburn or other laser software, it can feel more limited, like seeing my speed, power, passes, and other settings clearly in one place. Bambu Suite makes you move around more than I would like between design, positioning, material with the camera, and preparing the job. It works, but experienced laser users may feel like they are moving between screens more than they should. And one more thing, ventilation. The enclosure helps contain the laser process, and the air purifier actually helps reduce some of that smell. But if you really want to deal with fumes the proper way, you do need to vent outside. If you can't vent outdoors, then an air purifier becomes pretty important. A must. For my setup, I'm always venting outside. And of course, I would not leave the laser unattended. I have left long 3D prints running, but I don't treat the laser work the same way though. You know, the laser actively burns or engraves materials, it creates smoke and fumes, and it has a real fire risk if something goes wrong. There's also the long-term question here. When you laser inside the same enclosure that handles your 3D printing, you create soot, dust, and debris around a machine with moving parts. So far, the little vacuum has made cleanup much easier, but this is something I'm going to have to watch over time. The real test is not how this machine looks after a few projects. It is how it holds up after months of printing, cutting plywood, engraving slate and canvases, and using it like a real shop machine. That is a follow-up I want to make. For me, the H2D has been a very positive surprise. I trusted Bambu Lab as a 3D printer company because of my experience with the P2S. Now, after using this big guy here for a couple of weeks now, I do trust the H2D can do real laser work too. So my answer is yes, I trust the H2D as a hybrid maker machine. But I don't see it as a replacement for every dedicated laser. Not every laser job. Not every project. Not without compromises. But for hybrid projects where plastic, plywood, slate, and custom parts all come together, I think this machine opens up a lot of possibilities. It gave me a new reason to combine what I already love about laser work with what I'm learning about 3D printing. Before I wrap up, I want to say a quick thank you to everyone supporting Severina Builds through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Your support helps me spend the time testing machines, making mistakes, trying different materials, and sharing the results instead of just reading specs from a box. If you're serious about 3D printing and laser work, and you want to combine both worlds, I really think you should look into this machine. But before you buy something like this, make sure it solves the same problem you saw in this video. All right, I'm Alex. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.